Hey and welcome back everyone. Today, we're tackling one of the most popular questions people search on Google. What exactly is Bitcoin? By the end of this video, you'll understand Bitcoin better than most people out there. To understand Bitcoin, we first need to understand money. Money, at its most basic level, is just a way of representing value. If I do a job for you, you pay me money for the value I provided. Later, I can take that money and use it to get something valuable from someone else. Over time, people have used all kinds of things as money, from salt and grain to seashells and, of course, gold. The key point is that money only works if people believe it will hold value long enough to be used again in the future. For centuries, people trusted physical commodities like gold to serve as money. But carrying heavy gold around was inconvenient. That's when banks and governments introduced paper notes, which were originally backed by gold. You could trade in your notes for actual gold whenever you wanted. Over time, though, that direct link between paper money and gold was cut. Instead, governments simply declared that their paper money had value because they said so. This is what's known as fiat currency, money that exists by government order rather than being backed by a physical resource. Fiat money, however, comes with two big issues. First, it's centralized, meaning it's completely controlled by governments and central banks. Second, it's unlimited. They can print as much of it as they like. Printing more money makes each unit worthless, which is why over the years, the same items seem to cost more. It's not always that prices rise, but rather that the purchasing power of your money falls. As technology advanced, we moved from cash to mostly digital payments, credit cards, online transfers, and apps like PayPal. But digital money creates a new problem. How do you stop someone from copying digital dollars and spending them twice? This is known as the double spending problem. The current solution is simple. Banks keep a central ledger that records every transaction. But that means all of us have to trust banks, and history shows us this can lead to corruption, poor management, and governments being able to freeze or seize funds whenever they want. That's where Bitcoin comes in. In 2009, an anonymous creator going by the name Satoshi Nakamoto released a system for digital money that solved the double spending problem without needing a bank or central authority. This system, called Bitcoin, runs on something known as the blockchain, a public, decentralized ledger. Unlike a bank ledger, which is private, Bitcoin's ledger is open for anyone to view. You can see every transaction, though you can't always know who's behind it. This makes Bitcoin transparent yet still private, or what's called pseudo-anonymous. Instead of one bank server holding the ledger, thousands of computers around the world keep copies of it. They constantly update and verify each other, making it nearly impossible for hackers or governments to shut the system down. One famous example from Bitcoin's early days was in 2010 when a programmer traded 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. At the time, it was just a fun experiment, but today those same Bitcoins would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Here's another important fact. Unlike traditional money, Bitcoin has a limited supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. This makes it very different from fiat currencies, where governments can keep printing more. Many people compare Bitcoin to digital gold because it is scarce, durable, and can't be easily manipulated. Scarcity is what gives Bitcoin much of its value. Another key feature of Bitcoin is mining. Mining is the process where powerful computers solve complex mathematical problems to validate transactions and secure the network. In return, miners earn new Bitcoins as rewards. This is how new Bitcoins are introduced into circulation. But the rewards decrease over time. Roughly every 4 years, the payout is cut in half, in what's known as the Bitcoin halving. This makes Bitcoin harder to obtain as time goes on, which many believe will push its value higher in the long run. Bitcoin also runs 24/7, unlike banks, which have business hours and holidays. You can send Bitcoin across the world in minutes without asking for permission. This makes it especially useful in countries with unstable currencies or where people don't have access to reliable banks. In fact, in some places, people rely on Bitcoin to protect their wealth from inflation or even government restrictions. Of course, Bitcoin isn't perfect. The price is still very volatile, meaning it can go up or down quickly. It also faces challenges like regulation, environmental concerns with mining energy use, and the fact that not everyone accepts it yet. But despite these challenges, Bitcoin has survived for more than a decade, and each year it grows stronger, with more companies and even governments starting to recognize it. Think of how the internet transformed information. Before the internet, only a few big companies controlled what news or knowledge you had access to. Now, anyone can publish, share, and access information instantly. Bitcoin does something similar for money. It decentralizes it, giving people direct control rather than relying on banks or governments. So why is Bitcoin important? For starters, it gives you full control over your money. No authority can freeze your account or take your funds. Transactions are often cheaper and faster because there's no middleman. Bitcoin also provides financial access to billions of people worldwide who don't have access to banks but do have smartphones. And since Bitcoin is digital by design, it can be built on and programmed in ways traditional money can't. Bitcoin is already making waves. Today, you can pay for flights, hotels, and even shop with debit cards linked to your Bitcoin balance. What started as an experiment in digital money has now grown into a global financial revolution. Bitcoin continues to prove its resilience year after year. Whether it becomes the future of money or simply a valuable digital asset, one thing is certain. It has changed the way we think about value, ownership, and financial freedom forever. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share as a motivation for us to produce more videos.